We believe in Carolina basketball, the podcast. First show. I wish that I was as ecstatic as I was before tip-off about doing the first show. UNC, Kentucky, Battle of the Blue Bloods. I am bringing in, my name is Graham Bunn, and I am a former Division I college basketball point guard. I know most people will be like, I don't know about that. Those are facts. You can Google it. I wasn't great, but I was an overachiever. I got my brother from another, but just one of my favorite human beings on the planet, and someone that I vent to about Carolina basketball, probably a little too much. But I've convinced him to come on and help me with this show. We believe in Carolina basketball, episode 1. It's gonna be a rough one though. I don't know how we, originally, and I'm gonna put you on Front Street here, Zach. This is Zack Talitsky. He is my resident sounding board when I just don't have it in me to be rational about the Carolina Tar Heels. We were supposed to record this last night after the game.
I couldn't do it.
Couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. It was a frustrating game.
Could not do it.
I wanted to do it.
Episode 1, we had to push.
Yeah, hopefully the last time. But yeah, I didn't have anything positive to say after we threw the ball off of quarterback's back. I needed a night of sleep.
Yeah, we're gonna get through it. Now, it is episode 1, and we're learning on the go. But one of the things that I found really, really cool about this is one, Zack is my brother, and so I kind of have to like him. But I've always loved Zack. We've been very close ever since I got a chance to meet him. He was at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Your love for the Carolina Tar Heel runs deep. You've got like years and years of being at games and experiencing wonderful teams and memories and heartbreaks, just like myself. I mean, I grew up on Tobacco Road. So there's going to be a lot of emotional breakdown in this, as well as kind of like a little bit of the analytical. And I do believe that one of the things that you and I together can do, as I knock everything over here, is, I don't know, I guess balance the two worlds of being analytical about certain games. And there's, I played in the Carolina system. So I played at Appalachian State. It was the coach that I played under grew up under Buzz Peterson, who ran the Carolina system, the secondary break, the box series, all of those things. Still very relevant and very prevalent in the University of North Carolina game plan. And so that on top of just loving them to death, like there's a true love for the team where we couldn't record yesterday. Just couldn't do it.
Yes, right. And I don't have that type of knowledge, but I'm a double major from Carolina. So I was there from 91 to 95 and then went back for business school. Spent a lot of time watching the Heels.
Yeah. Going into this, and we'll get into the game, and we're going to keep these not crazy long, but not crazy brief either. This is something that I would do in my spare time anyway. I've been trying to get Zack to get into business with me forever, and I don't even know if you can call this business, but Carolina going into the season, not the game. It's been a roller coaster of a few years. Like, Roy's gone, new chapter, new coach, new regime. The two big system, obviously Carolina was known for playing traditionally two bigs, having 3 out, secondary break, fast break, winning the boards. The game is changing. It's evolved into shooting kind of dominates. Steph Curry changed basketball. I think a lot of people would say for good. I don't know. It might go back, but I think that it's here to stay for sure right now. And you see that teams that are doing well and having success in college and in the pros have shooters. And we have lacked consistent outside shooting for several years, which is why I think we've lacked in consistent success. We go from making the national championship game, and then honestly, it still hurts me and pains me and makes me sick to say gave up the largest halftime lead in national championship game history to not making the tournament with the same starting 5 6 months later. You know what I mean? Like, it's brutal. So there's been a lot of change, a lot of turnover. How are you feeling going into this year's season, knowing that I'm pretty sure we have like 7 new players? I mean, they're not all freshmen, which a lot of teams are getting all these new freshmen. There's a lot of turnover, guys going to the league early, but we got a lot of experience, but we got a lot of new players.
Yeah, I mean, I went into the season confused and conflicted and but optimistic. You know, it's like outside of that 3-week run, starting with you know, beating Duke, you know, and Cameron on K's
That was
last
nice.
game, all the way to the Final Four. I mean, but that came out of nowhere, right? Like that was a
Yeah.
bubble team, and you know, they just were founded at the right time. But you know, and then going into last year, and then how they played, you're like, well, who are we? Who are we as a
Yeah.
program? You know, who is Hubert as a coach? I love Hubert. You know,
Yeah.
I hope Hubert's successful. I hope
Was Hubert
Hubert's
at
there for 20
Carolina when
years.
you were there?
He was, yeah.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
cool.
One of my favorite Dean Dome memories was my dad came up my freshman year, and I was so excited to show him Carolina basketball.
Yeah.
And we were playing Florida State, and we got down big. I mean, after we down 20, and I was just like, oh man, like this is the game. Like my dad's going to come see. And Hubert led us back in the second half. We ended up winning, and the Dean Dome was so loud and so crazy. And like to get to experience that, you know, with my dad, you know, was just awesome as a college student. So I love Hubert, you know, I love Hubert, and and I think he's going to be, you know, the right guy for a long time. And I think he's still figuring some stuff out.
Yeah.
And I like how this team's playing. You know, so I'm more optimistic now than I was at the beginning of the season, despite last night.
I'm a little confused though. I'm a little confused because last night,
I'm not sure
you
who we are.
You didn't want nothing to do with this last night, man. You didn't want anything to do with talking to me about Carolina basketball after the Kentucky. Now, Battle of the Blue Bloods, I looked it up. And again, like for anyone that's watching this, hopefully, and I would imagine most of the people that are going to watch this are Carolina fans. This isn't like an analytical thing. This is going to be kind of a mixture of two people that love college basketball, love Carolina, and then have some knowledge of the programs. And, you know, again, I'm very, very proud. Not that I was a great college basketball player, but I was able to accomplish a lot of things that a lot of people would look at me and be like, no way, really? And so, yeah, last night it's just so challenging. I don't know. Do you want to start with the pros? Because I'm with you. Look, going into this season, the way the team was constructed, and still to the, you know, what are we, 10 games in? We're 7-3.
Yeah.
I like the way the team's constructed. Now, there are some things that, as a fan and as someone who does not live in the state of North Carolina, when you don't live there and you love the Tar Heels so much, and we've had such an up and down previous couple years, you get really emotional. Like you want it to click now. And so it's really hard to be patient because North Carolina, there's not much more North Carolina than North Carolina Tar Heels. You know what I mean? So I want it to click. I like the pieces, but there's some things that just don't make sense to me watching the games, how certain things happen. So do you want to start with pros? Do you want to start with questions? Where do you want to start here?
Let's start with the good. Yeah, let's
start with the good. All right. What was your good takeaways? One from the team, and specifically UNC, Kentucky on a neutral site, neutral floor, which, you know, you're from Georgia. You're not too far out of Atlanta. Have you ever been to that arena?
I've not. I don't think I've been to the new arena yet, surprisingly. Oh, okay. The old Omni I went to a million times, but showing my age.
Well, you got a baby face, which, by the way, happy belated birthday. It was your birthday yesterday. It would have been nice to do the first show on your birthday, but we give you a pass.
That's part of the reason why I couldn't come on.
Hey, it's all right. It's all right.
You know, I mean, starting with obvious, I mean, RJ's play has been incredible, not just last night, but pretty much all season, the last 3 or 4 games. He's awesome. And like what he did down the stretch, and he's been doing that all year. He wants the ball. He wants to take the big shot. He's making them. I mean, he almost willed us to a win of a game we had no business winning. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you need guards in March. And so, you know, the fact that RJ is playing the way he's playing, you know, and if we have a lead and we can, you know, he can get fouled. I mean, what is he shooting from the free throw line this year too? So,
I know.
Yeah, I love
what
RJ's
he missed the big
doing.
one, which he never. I think he had made 41 straight and like 44 out of 46. So, you know, you can't be mad. Like you said, he's doing everything under the sun that you can do, and some of the shots that he's hitting, like I just wish we could get him more looks. I really wish we could get him, you know, 20 plus shots. I think he's taking about 17 or 18 a game. I'd love to see that 22.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe the less obvious one is I thought Seth Trimble and Jalen Withers did a lot of nice things, especially defensively, brought a lot of energy. So I made that note while I was watching the game, and then sort of looked it up this morning. And the plus minus, Seth was plus 10 and Jalen was plus 13. So they're both pretty switchable on D too, which I think helps us. And they brought a lot of energy. So nice to see the bench, a couple guys off the bench contributing. We need to get more out of Jalen Washington. He's like too skilled. I feel like, from a bench perspective, if we should be getting 10 points a game out of him, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've seen him shoot, and it's different when the lights are on, but it looks like he's got a great shot. I think he'd made all his 3-pointers on the season to this point, but he put up an air ball that was, I don't know. Certain players react differently from shots of like, oh man, that didn't even draw iron. You know what I mean? And so then I think he had a dunk that got blocked, and Ingram also had a dunk that got blocked, and putting people in the rim. We lost a close one. Those buckets down the stretch matter. And so I would love to see Jalen be the player that I feel like he can be. I don't know. Sometimes I worry about him guarding the pick and roll. Him and Baycott both. I feel like people are just going to put us in the pick and roll all day long. But Baycott has done much better over the last, I'd say, year and a half at doing that. But I think Jalen, that's going to be one of the challenges is, can we play him defensively?
Yeah. And we have to get to, I think, a 2-man big rotation between Mondo and Jalen. And if he can give us, 10, 15 minutes a game, quality minutes, it'll really take us to the next level. But love to see what Seth and Jalen did off the bench.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about Withers, because I'm on the fence, man. I know the plus minus, and again, this is where I think maybe you and I will give very different, varying perspectives. Like, I love the plus and minus stat. I would have lost my shirt on that, because in my notes constantly I have it written down. Can Withers play meaningful minutes for this program? Because there's a few plays, and maybe I don't know if they show up in stats. It's like the carelessness. So the rebound on the free throw.
Yeah.
I don't know if he took it out of Carmack Ryan's hands, or, we're down, we foul, they go to the line for a 1-and-1, and those two don't come up with the rebound. It like hits them in the hands and bounces away. Like, as a player, I know that stats matter, but there are certain plays that don't show up in a statistical form that matter. Like, winning teams make those plays. There was another rebound that Baycott, it like went through his hands and he kicks it out of bounds at like a critical moment where we need the ball in a game that's decided by 2 or less possessions.
And RJ had the one where he's just running down
twice.
The sidelines just stepped out of bounds twice. We had
did it,
10.
He did it in the first half, and he did it in the second half. That's another thing that comes back to Hubert. Is like, you coach it or you accept it. Like, at what point are we going to be like, oh, we're close. If this didn't happen, we're right there or we win. Well, yeah, but at some point you have to stop that. All those things happened last night.
Look, 17 turnovers. And that doesn't even count a lot of the loose balls and the things you're talking about. And then, with it, I think they had 14 more offensive rebounds than us. So 17 turnovers, 14 offensive rebounds. And then again, like you said, a number of things just don't show up. And then we still only lost by 4. On one hand, you look at that and you say, okay, is that who we are, or should we be encouraged? Because, I just felt like we didn't play very well, and I don't think that's going to keep up for the rest of the game. But back to Withers, I think there's a role for him on this team. We need that athleticism. We need somebody who can play that swing 3-4, can guard both. I think he's actually a better perimeter defender than he is a post defender.
I love it on paper. Paper. I just, for me, I haven't seen it yet on the floor, but I love it on paper. Now, there's glimpses like he'll rip through. He's the trailer in the big secondary break, the rip through, get to a paint touch, kick it out to a shooter. Ingram knocks it down. Now, Ingram goes 0 for 3 last night. I don't see him going 0 for a ton. I love Ingram. I love what he brings to the table. But for me right now with Withers, it's glimpses of, wow, this guy could be it could be a wonderful piece for us. And then there's times where it's like, man, we can't have him on the floor. Like, it's just, there's certain turnovers that are mind boggling to me. Like, a rebound comes down, and instead of going after it, just thinking someone else is going to grab it and then being like, oh, that happened with RJ a few times where RJ's like, well, you're the big, I thought you were going to kick it to me. And, it's like we're still figuring it out 10 games in, where we have experienced players. They're not experienced with each other. It's just, it seems like younger mistakes to me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. We didn't, for being a pretty experienced team, we didn't look like it yesterday.
I mean, Carmack Ryan's got like 100+ starts under his belt. Baycott 100+ starts under his belt. RJ's got to be up there near 100 starts under his belt. I mean, that matters in college basketball, especially with, a lot of these teams having younger players that are declaring for the draft. They're not there long. And I don't want to put anything on Elliot Cadeau. I'm incredibly impressed with Elliot Cadeau. I think he's going to be an incredible Carolina point guard. I hope we get to see him for multiple years. But what's going on with that last play? Like, how is Elliot Cadeau? One, he was out in foul trouble. He hadn't been in the game for a while. He's not the greatest three-point shooter. And if I'm Calipari, as soon as Elliot Cadeau touches the ball, we're down 3. I foul Elliot Cadeau, put him to the line. I don't even let us get a 3-point look up. But he's in the game. How does that happen where he throws the ball to Cormac Ryan, who's not looking? And if you look at the replay, Elliot Cadeau's not looking at Cormac Ryan. He's looking at RJ and RJ's man trailing the play. So it was almost a half no look, which you just can't have at that point. And that's why Carmack didn't even know the ball was coming.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Cormac was heading straight to the corner to do like a down screen for RJ, who's going to pop. And I don't know what happened.
Sure.
It's hard to know without being in the huddle. And Hubert didn't seem to want to answer it post game. He just said he's called it a turnover. Of course, he doesn't want to blame anybody, which I understand. So I don't know, but it looked like that one was on Cadeau, but hard to tell.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's a freshman, but it's just like these are game-winning plays that if we want to be the team that I think we can be, we got to make those plays. I'm not saying you got to make the shot, but you can't turn the ball over. Like you live with good shots. You live with good looks. And the UConn game, look, I'll take Carmack Ryan getting those 6 looks all day long. He went 0 for 6 and he's got to shoot better, and he did shoot better. But I'll live with that. What I can't live with is like the just unnecessary turnovers. Like he just threw the ball away. Like, and that was hard,
Yeah, I agree. And are we switching to negatives now?
No. We'll stay on the positive. I'm loving the Withers talk. Yeah. I'm still emotional. I do love Carolina, and probably why I'm not an analyst right now, or I'm sure there's a million reasons, but one of the reasons is I'm a little emotional when it comes to the Carolina Tar Heels, especially in games where I would love to beat other Blue Bloods. Like, we were up 25-17 in the head-to-head with Kentucky. It's 25-18 now, so I'll still take that. That record. That's pretty nice. And what was it? Was it the Elite 8 game that we won? It was the last game we had played them, which was also a wonderful win. Shout out to Luke May on that last second shot. Gotta love that.
Yeah, I'd love to play them every year. It's a great rivalry, and it's always good games.
Yeah, amazing. And again, shout out, this is going to be a name drop, but Rob Dillingham is a buddy of mine. I talked to him before the game. I said, man, I'm cheering for you. I want you to do well. I hope you lose, but I am cheering for you. So I was happy to see Rob play well. He's a bucket getter, and I think we'll be watching him play on the next level. But I was really hoping that he walked away with a loss.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a shout out to Reed Shepard because I love his game. And so his dad was a legend at McIntosh High School in Peachtree City, which is like 5 miles from where I grew up in high school. And so I mean, Jeff Shepard was the man, and his son is very good too. So
he got a little bouncy. I was surprised on that breakaway, the little 2-hand put down. Like I didn't realize he had that in him, and his name is creeping up all the draft boards. Also, he might not be there that long.
I mean, defensively, you don't keep getting 3 or 4 steals a game because you're lucky. I mean, he is in the right place. He has quick hands. I mean, he ripped Cadeau on that one. I mean,
and then hit a 3.
Yeah,
I was really hating that play. I mean, it was a great play, but I was hating that.
I mean, you watch them play for very long. That guy just makes winning play after winning play. So I love Reed Shepherd's game.
Yeah. Where are you at on the starting lineup? Like, do you feel good about where we're at as a starting lineup?
Yeah, I think so. You know, but you know, what gives me concern is when we're playing Cadeau and RJ together, those are two very small guards. And the way that we're switching everything, they're getting posted up a lot. And you know, I think part of the reason Cadeau was in foul trouble is because he ended up, you know, in the post. I have to go back and watch the game, but I think he picked up at least 2 of those fouls. And we're switching without really needing to. Like they just do like a little you know, high screen like at the elbow, and we would switch it with Mitchell, and then Mitchell just walks either RJ or Cadeau, you know, down. And then now you got like, you know, one of their guards, you know, DJ Wagner, somebody dancing with a big guy, and then you got like Mitchell posting Cadeau up, and like I think we got to fight through more of that stuff. I mean, I'm not a coach, you tell me, but it just seems like you know, the other teams know we're switching everything too easily, and it's easy to put us in some bad positions with small guards. So that'd be the only thing I would say is if we're going to play those 2 guys, maybe we need to press more or do a little more zone, or just think about how we're switching them, because we're getting too many big on littles, and those guys are, you know, they're both 6 feet tall.
Yeah, you and I had talked about this before, and it was a great point where you said, you know, there's certain games, and there's been games where you know, one player really gets it going against us, and there'll be a ball screen. And again, I think it's our weakness. I don't think I'm sharing any trade secrets here. I think if you watch how many times Carolina has to guard the pick and roll on ball screens, as far as the action going into scoring buckets, it's a pretty high clip. And so I think other teams have already diagnosed that, okay, I think they're weak here. We're going to do a high pick and roll with the big in the center of the floor, which we use that as well. You know, we do it. Everyone does it, but I think we struggle at defending it over the last couple years.
I mean, UConn killed us with it too.
I would love to see, especially when guys get it going, double the ball screen and then scramble back to man after getting that. You know, obviously, if you double the ball screen, you can't have a forward passing, you know, first pass, because then you're leading yourself into a 2-on-1, usually be a lob to a dunk or like a little floater in the paint. So if you do double, you have to get that pass to be backwards so you have time to recover. But I would love different looks, like just different looks. It doesn't seem as if there's defensive adjustments when guys start cooking. You know what I mean? It's just it's baffling. I'm not a coach, and I would never challenge Hubert Davis. Like, I'm sure Hubert Davis has forgotten more basketball than I'll ever know. But just as a fan and someone that played basketball and had been in huddles where it's like, all right, look, this guy's got it going. We got to give him a couple different looks, mix it up, at least 2 or 3 possessions until he figures out how to, you know, match the change, and then we change it back. You know what I mean? Just keep people on their toes, because when they get comfortable, it's like, oh, it's like checkers. All right, cool. I'm gonna set this high ball screen. They're gonna switch, and then it's pick your poison. I'll either pull up if he backs off, or I'm gonna go around him and create a 2-on-1 with the guy in the lob position, and we're gonna score.
Yeah, it does feel to me like we're a little too predictable on that stuff. And but again, you know better than I would. But yeah, I'd love to see us have few different variations to throw at people and keep them guessing a little bit. And
what are your thoughts on? And I'll pull up the numbers here, but I know that we were out rebounded against Kentucky.
Yeah, and by 14, basically all offensive, 23-9 offensive.
Well, I mean, there was a couple plays and big possessions where it's like, we've cut it to 7. We're gonna, you know, we've got it under 10, and then they get 3 cracks at it. It's back at 9. We get a turnover. It's, you know, we foul. It's at 10. Instead of getting a stop down 7 with the ball with a chance to cut it to 5 or 4, and they get 3 looks at it. Why do you think we, as Carolina basketball, who used to dominate the boards, is it because we've kind of gone away from, you know, obviously we don't play 2 bigs anymore, but like it's not like Kentucky was playing 2 bigs. Like, I don't understand how we're getting beat on the boards. Is it something where you think the guys are just not cognizant of it, of like, hey, everybody's got to get in there. We got to gang rebound.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play smaller, you're right. You got a gang rebound. RJ did his part. He led us in rebounding, so he had 7.
He's one of my favorite Tar Heels of all time. Now, again, it might be recency bias because, you know, what have you done for me lately? But I love the kid. In an age of basketball where you don't see guys stay 4 years, and again, I'm not going to get on Baycott too hard because I don't know if he had any options to go pro. Like, I honestly don't know where his stock was, where he's like, oh, I'm going to forego the NBA draft. Well, I don't know if you were going to get drafted, but I love that he's there. And I love him. I love the Mondo boy. I love all of that. I don't want to crush him, but I love RJ Davis. And I know he can make money somewhere. And I'm hoping he's making a ton of money at North Carolina. I hope he makes a ton of money next year. But man, I love him as a Tar Heel.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. I mean, he embodies, I think, what we want, as fans, and just in terms of the heart. And I think you always say it, you need some dogs on your team, and I feel like he's a dog.
He's a dog.
Yeah.
Dog. All right. So how would you combat it? Because, like you said, if you play RJ and Cadeau, you're susceptible to rebounding and the switching and guards getting walked down. Withers at one point was in the starting lineup. And I was hopeful for it. I wanted Cadeau to be the first one off the bench, and whether I wanted Carmack Ryan playing the 2. I felt like, or him and Egram were kind of our wings. Withers at the 4, Baycott at the 5, and then we bring Cadeau for energy and spark and just change of pace off the bench. Hubert seems to like what he's got, and again, I think the pieces are there to be good either way. But do you think that this is something that we can't rectify as far as like getting beat up on the boards? Because we win this game if the boards are even remotely close. We win the Kentucky game.
Yeah. Well, we don't have a choice if we want to be good. And I think rebounding is a lot of effort and fundamentals and technique. And I think both the UConn game and the Kentucky game, it sort of struck me, we don't look as athletic as either of those teams. And, they're bigger than us. They're longer than us, particularly now that Kentucky got Yenso, I think it was, back and Bradshaw back. So, they're a big athletic team. But, that's why you got to box out and you got to do the fundamental stuff, and you got to be quicker to the ball. I mean, they were quicker to the ball too. I mean, a lot of these are long rebounds. And so, I imagine we're going to be focused on it in the coming weeks. Hopefully we can turn that around a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe you can talk me off the ledge here on this one too. So everyone that I talked to is like, man, relax. It's 10 games in. Big shout out. It's going to be another name drop, but a guy that said he'd come on the show and talk with us. Maybe we'll get him on for the Duke game. Is Jay Williams is a good buddy of ours. He's a friend of yours as well, but he loves to call me when Carolina is faltering a little bit. That's one of his favorite things to do. And so he was talking
in the
me off
glass house this year, so you might want to be careful.
Yeah. He was talking me off the ledge, though. He's like, man, look, it's 10 games. Like, you guys have the pieces, and the team is built for success. Like, you're going to do well in conference. I think he had mentioned he could see us going undefeated at home because we're really comfortable at home and we shoot it really well at home. And when we shoot it well, we usually win. But my pushback and my concern here, and I would love for I'd love for you to talk me off the ledge in this, is that all these other teams are 10 games in as well, and yet they're young. We're 10 games in, and we've got hundreds of starts under our belt. This is where my concern lies, is like certain things, loose balls, effort plays, things that they're not predicated on success, we seem to be losing out in. And like with hundreds of starts under your belt, you would imagine that the mistakes that come with rotation, closeouts, not tightening up, throwing the ball away on the last play, not even getting a look at the basket. That's something that I think, or I would have thought we would have outshone or outshined other teams because we do have so much experience. I mean, we've got guys that have really been through it. We've got several guys that played in the national championship game.
Yeah. Well, we got that from I'd say Cormac pretty well. I mean, he didn't play a perfect game, but we got that from him. We certainly got that from RJ. We didn't get it from Mondo.
What did Carmack end up shooting? Because I know he's been in a slump.
He was 8 of 12 field goal, 4 of 7 from 3.
4 of 7, because he's under 30% from 3 going into the game. Which as a fifth-year senior, like, come on, we and these are these are looks that he's getting that are not like pin downs off the dribble. This is like he's getting doubled and kicking out. Like he's getting good looks. So we need him to shoot 35%.
And I think he will. I think he will.
Yeah.
It's going to revert to the mean. I think he will. I have confidence he's going to be a good piece for us. And I have confidence in Mondo, but we're not going to beat Kentucky, with Mondo scoring 9 on 3 or 4. He got up 4 shots from the field.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like
6 turnovers.
How is that happening? Like, how is that happening? Is it one? I don't know if the one shot he missed was. I don't know if you remember it. It was like a putback,
from 2 feet.
That was like 3 feet short of the rim, and it happened in the UConn game too. Like I just, not that he's regressed. I have no idea. Again, I love Mondo, and I do think he's one of the best big men in the country. I just don't think he's playing like it right now.
Yeah. I think. I mean, that's what the numbers say, and it's what my eyes say. But hopefully that comes around. And but like picking up those 2 offensive fouls, with moving screens, you're talking about experience and someone who's a 5th-year senior and 100 starts under his belt. Like, okay, you got to get set, and we need you on the floor. And picking up 2, and then you got another offensive foul that was a questionable call. Later in the second half, he had a rough game. But the body of work's great, so you got to have confidence it's going to turn around. But yeah, I mean, I'm confident that this team is better than last year's team, and I actually think it's better than that team that made it to the finals. That team caught fire. I think this team actually could be better than that team, but we're going to have to figure some stuff out on defense. I think I was looking up the Kim Pom, and I think we were like 48th or something.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a run 48. We're going to have to play better than that. And
we were – for anyone listening, we were ranked higher in both offensive and defensive like win shares than Kentucky on both ends of the floor going into the game. Now again, stats are stats, and players make plays. And I'm a guy that there's a couple guys that I played with that I knew, and the number's not going to be there at the end of the game. But there are certain plays that they would make that won games, and that you wanted them on the floor. And so like the stat sheet doesn't really tell the entire story. So I would love for us to keep moving in the right direction in the Kim Pom rankings and all the statistics that go along with, that kind of thing. But I just want our guys to continue to play well. But I really am worried. I guess I'm worried as a fan about, okay, is the coaching staff, are they drilling in? All right, are we boxing out? And like the little things that people just don't want to learn. It'll come out in other shows, and this isn't clickbait, but Dan Dockage, I played for a guy named Dan Dockage in college. Basketball mind, the guy was a genius. He and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I mean, he'd look you right in the face and say the same about me. But I got to give the guy his credit. Like we boxed out. We were in passing lanes. Like the mistakes that I see sometimes with the Carolina basketball club, sometimes I think about, and I didn't really enjoy playing for Dan. And I'm sure Dan does not care about that at all. And that's okay. Like you can't enjoy, every player's not going to enjoy playing for certain coaches. But I will give him his flowers. Like we crossed the T's and dotted the I's. Like those mistakes didn't show up. They were not very prevalent. Like they happen because we're all human. But like it was coached to box out. It was coached to, you get those loose balls and turnovers are limited. And sometimes I worry if our team will put it together, because last year, the entire year was like, oh no, it'll come together. It'll come together. Before you know it, it's going to be February, March, man.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully it isn't a trend, right? Hopefully it's just a bad game, and, we'll turn it around. I really do think having Cadeau only play 18 minutes impacted the entire game and the flow, and was one of the reasons we had 17 turnovers. I mean, he's played some pretty big games this year against good teams where, he's having a 4 or 5 to 1. I think he had one game 10-0 or something.
That was a home game though. And again, for anyone watching this, as someone that played college basketball, playing at home is very different than playing on the road.
But when he's on the floor, I think he just gets other people good looks. He frees RJ up.
Agreed.
And so him only playing 18 minutes, I think, hurt our flow quite a bit. So maybe I'll chalk optimistically. I'll chalk some of it up to that.
We need to keep we played better than the UConn game. I do feel like now again, I don't think Kentucky's as good as UConn, so there's a moving scale there. But I did feel the team performed better against Kentucky than they did against UConn.
By the way, no one needs me to say this, but Coach Hurley, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I mean, I am impressed with UConn. I'm impressed with how well they are coached. I mean, that offense that they run. I mean, the motion that he's able to get with that team. Oh man, and the multiple back cuts and oh man, I love their offense. I love how they play. He can coach.
I didn't play in that system, but it looked from an outsider standpoint when just trying to figure out what they were doing. It looked like it was a marriage of like Bobby Knight's motion offense with a lot of pro sets, like a pro set that was like, all right, this is where the screen's coming. This is the pin. And this is, if the defense hedges, this is what we do. But it was up to the offense to make the decision off of what the defense took away.
Totally. Look very multiple and they're well drilled because those guys, I mean, when the backup was there, they were making it for layups. When the pick and pop was there, they're flaring out, and then they're running like sort of almost like multiple pick actions at the same time, like one on the ball and one off the ball. And man, they run good offense.
Well, to bring it back to Carolina, do you feel the offense is better this year? Because I think it is without a doubt than it has been in years. Now, again, I will be a Brady Manic fan for the rest of my life. I feel like he changed our team. He was the main reason we made that run. He caught fire and he changed the dynamic of way teams had to defend us. I know Caleb got a lot of credit for the run that he put together, and as he should. And the shot he hit against Duke, I will love Caleb Love for the rest of my life, and I wish him all the success in everything he does. I would be lying if I said I was not happy to see him get a new start somewhere else, though. Like, I really enjoy that he's having success at Arizona. I love that the team's doing well, and I love that we're building through RJ and kind of moving on in our life as well. But I do feel, and do you feel that the offense is, even though we got some things we got to work out, is better than we've been? I feel like we're trending in the right direction.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
And I think to run what Hubert wants to run, we need a point guard like Cadeau.
Agreed.
And so I think he's recruited the right type of player there. We haven't really been able to replace Manic, though, as a 4 who can shoot at 40% and guard, down low and rebound. I mean, Ingram's much closer than what we had last year. And I think that's part of the reason the offense is better, but maybe not the post defender. He's obviously better initiating off the dribble, but not the post defender, Manic.
Who was the 3 on that? Who was the starting 3 on that team? I'm drawing a blank.
I think Leaky wasn't he?
Yeah, Leaky. All right.
Yeah.
So you take Manic and you take Leaky, which I love Leaky, and he was great for our program. And your wife, my sister, is one of her favorite Carolina basketball players of all time. So this is no slight against Leaky at all. But creating, you were talking about recreating Brady Manic. That has to be done in the aggregate. Like, you take Leaky, who was a starter with Brady, and you put him up against, I'd take Ingram and Carmack, Ryan, and I would take that twosome over the Leaky and Manic twosome. So I think that we're good there as far as recreating what we had with Brady in the aggregate.
Yeah. We're missing probably, just given we've had some perimeter players go off for 30 on us, as Leaky, as a perimeter defender, and then Manic, as a knockdown shooter that can also, play down low. So we're different. But those specialists.
Ingram has it in him to defend. Like, he's strong. I don't know if it's a want to. I don't know if it's like, all right, I'm learning and whatever the defensive concepts that Carolina's drilling in practice, if he's not picking up on them. But I feel confident when it comes down to defending wings in the ACC that he's going to be just fine if he wants to play or if he's willing to play defense.
Yeah, agreed.
And Carmack, this is his 5th year, and didn't he play 3 at Notre Dame? It's not like he was only at Notre Dame for 1 or 2 years. I mean, he's been through the gauntlet of the ACC, so he should know exactly what he's getting into when it comes to defending some of these wings in the league. I think once I don't know. I mean, here we go, Carolina fan again. We're going to turn it on. I mean, we play Oklahoma, who might be the best team we played outside of UConn all season long on Wednesday. And I just don't know how I feel about it. I don't know.
I think it's a must win. I think
it definitely is a must win.
I mean, it's in Charlotte. We need another solid out of conference win going into the ACC. I think we need to win this game.
I'd have to look up the numbers and, hopefully nobody holds this against me, but I think we were like 1-8 versus the top 100 last year. Like something crazy. It's just like, what? That doesn't make any sense after coming off a national title run. And so we have a couple good wins. I mean, the Arkansas, they were ranked. I don't know if they're going to be ranked at the end of the season, but
I think
as of right now, that's a good win. The Tennessee's a good win. I think Tennessee's a really good ball club. Now, again, that was at home, and that I don't know how much.
That's why we need this Oklahoma win. I just don't want to sweat the ACC schedule like we did the last couple of years. I think if we win on Wednesday, then we'll be in good shape. But and I think this team can win the ACC regular season. I do. I don't think there's a stopper out there.
Clemson's pretty good. Have you seen Clemson play lately?
Well, we play them, I think the 6th, so that's coming up soon too. So we're going to learn a whole lot about this team, in the next couple of weeks.
They're really well coached too. Clemson, like they look good. Now they just dropped their first game. You and I were joking.
Who did they lose to?
I can't remember who they lost to. I'll pull it up right now for you. But you and I were joking around. 1987 was the last time anybody. They lost to Memphis by 2. That's right.
Okay.
And I believe that game was in Memphis. It was held at FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. So it was a road game, and they lost by 2. Clemson's really good. I think Clemson, this is the year where, and again, last year they started out really hot. I thought they were going to contend for the ACC title, and they kind of faded down the stretch. I don't know if they fade down the stretch this year. They are really well coached, and they are that big that they have. I think, what's PJ's last name? He is. Yeah. He's a stud.
Yeah.
I just
always assume UVA is going to win the ACC regular season because Tony Bennett can coach.
Tony Bennett can coach. I don't think it's their year this year, but I could be wrong. Again, Tony Bennett is, and the defense that they play is very frustrating for kids. They're like, man, I want to get up and down the floor, but podcast for another time. If going into the game, what do you think? If you had to give me 3 keys to going into Oklahoma that you want to see us improve on, or you think is a key for us to being in the best position possible to win. And again, at the end of the day, I just want looks. Like I can deal with missed shots if they're good looks. Kids making missed shots all the time. It's the unnecessary turnovers and not even getting a shot up. And like that's the kind of thing that really I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't think you can win big games like that.
Defensively, I would just love to see us play a game where it feels like we are taking them out of what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And they feel us a little bit more on the defensive end, and things seem harder for the other team. Seems like UConn was running a lot of good offense, and I know they're really well coached. It seemed like Kentucky sort of knew what they wanted to do coming into the game, and we didn't really do a whole lot defensively to take them out of it. So I don't know.
Did you think energy was a problem in the Kentucky game? Because I was reading the message boards, and I look at it way too much.
No,
a lot of people were saying that we felt like we were flat. You didn't feel that way?
No, I didn't think it was an energy problem. I thought we fought really well. I mean, honestly, I thought we played really poorly. Mm-hmm. And to have a chance to win the game was really encouraging. And that was, great fight. We sort of took a couple punches and fought back. RJ willed us back at the end. So that was great to see.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think it was an energy problem. Some of it was just a momentum problem. We could never string together 2 or 3 plays. It's like we would make a shot, something would happen and we get a turnover, an offensive foul, or they get a long rebound and kick it out for a 3. And it's just one of those things. I don't know what it would have been like to be a fan in the arena, but I bet every single time our fans try to start cheering, like you could never sustain it because it's like 1 or 2 minutes we would do okay, and then we just couldn't make winning plays. So
yeah,
I guess that'd be the other thing I'd love to see in the Oklahoma game, particularly if it's close, which I expect it will be. Is we need better execution. I don't know. I kind of like to see us press more. It wasn't effective against UConn, but I thought it was very effective yesterday. Of course, it was really effective against Florida State.
yeah.
And I think we could take advantage of some of the athleticism we have, like on our second team. Like I'd love to see like Seth and Jalen Withers and even Wojcik is kind of scrappy. And they came in and maybe try to get the tempo up a little bit and press a little bit more. I think that could be a good change up from that second team.
Yeah, I'd love to play a game where we didn't have to press though.
Well, yeah,
we just ran our stuff, and we didn't have to resort to that. But I'm in agreement with you when we're fighting and clawing and grip, dive into the bench a little bit and get that going. If you had to kind of make a 10-game snapshot of the rotation, just from being a fan and seeing the Carolina teams that have had success, how deep are you going right now? If you're Roy, you're Hubert, you're looking at the rotation right now, how deep are you going? What do you foresee it being in once everything is established? Carolina is notorious for feeling around, giving guys the opportunity to make their statement, but come middle of conference season, it's kind of locked and it doesn't change.
Well, I think we're 8 at a minimum, and that's the 3 guards. So I'm throwing Trimble in there.
I think he's got to be in there. He's out. Yeah. Honestly, he is shooting the ball way better. I mean, last year I was worried would it hit the rim. And no knock on Trimble. I apologize if Trimble ever happens to see this. He's one of my favorite players on this team. He locks up. He sticks his nose in there. And he's obviously been in the gym over the summer. Like the improvement is tangible. You can just look at it. It's very evident.
Yeah, I love his game, and he brings a lot to this team. And then Withers, kind of in the wing, has got to play. And then I think we need Washington, being able to sub in for Mondo, give us quality minutes. And so then so those I think 8 are going to play. And then your swing minutes, you got Zayden High and Wojcik. And I hope that Hubert keeps giving them chances to earn minutes. But we had some empty minutes. We had some empty minutes from the bench, though, right? So and he's been shrinking it. But the last couple of games we were down in the 30s. I think the 3 games before that we were in the 50s in terms of minutes played by the bench. So it's definitely happening. It's hard to see it expanding again.
I mean, gone are the days of the Iron 5, though, which is nice.
Right. And that's okay. I mean, you get into the ACC tournament, NCAA tournament, playing 8, I think is fine. But we also got outscored pretty badly by the bench. So it'd be nice if, they could at least hold their own a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, Washington only played 8 minutes. I would love to get to a point where we felt really comfortable with 12 to 15.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed.
And we'll see. Now, offensively, I think he's got every skill in the book to be a great Carolina big man. I just worry about in the age of the offense seems to expand and, you got to guard guys 20 feet out and it's 4 around 1. Being able to guard the ball screen, I just don't know. I haven't seen enough. And again, anyone watching this, I'm not an expert. I am just a Carolina fan and have, played basketball my whole life. I just am concerned and worried about his ability to guard the ball screen. Just the on-ball action is something where maybe they're drilling it in practice and he's killing it. And it's just, there's been a few times where he made, drop coverage, whatever. And that's the only thing I see. Hubert is in practice. He sees the way that they're guarding. And I love our guards. I think we got the best backcourt in the ACC. And I have a lot of respect for Roach and Proctor, but I would take our guys all day long. I love him to death. So maybe he's guarding it in practice really well. I'm just really concerned, and I hope that we can get to a place where 12 to 15 minutes is like, oh yeah, he's gonna, yeah, we're gonna get 12 to 15 out of him bare minimum. And if he's hot and if he's doing well and we can rest Mondo, great.
I mean, that'll take us to another level if we can get that, right? I mean, that's what we're going to need if
Do you
we're
see
going
it
to take
happening?
that next step.
Do you see it happening?
I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
yes. I'm gonna say optimistic. I'm gonna say yes. I like his game. I think he's going to keep growing in confidence. I think Hubert's got to give him more minutes, though. I want to see more than 8 from Jalen.
Yeah. And I can't remember game script, and I'll do a better job of this moving forward when I watch the games, but I can't remember why it was limited to 8. Did they just start separating, making a run while he was on the floor? Is his plus minus bad? Do you know?
He was plus minus was -5.
All right. Well, not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Zayden only got 2 minutes, so we only got 10 from the backup fives, and Mondo, I guess, played 31, even though he was in foul trouble. So I guess they just played Mondo most of the time at 5, and then played small around him because Withers was playing pretty well. He got 19 minutes, got the most bench minutes. So yeah, I don't know, but it wasn't like Mondo was cooking or anything. So
I know I'm nitpicking here, and again, this is the emotional fan of me though. But Withers also, like from the corner, I'm pretty sure put up a 3 that was like 3 feet too long.
He did,
and I'm I don't know if that's a different arena. I know that it's very challenging to shoot in certain arenas, and I'm not making a joke out of that. Like it was not even remotely close. He's gonna get those looks when he's on the floor. So like we just need those shots to hopefully go at a higher clip, and Carmack proved that like you said, it's going to regress to the mean. I just hope that Withers, if he's taking that shot, is making that shot in practice. And, that just happened it was a bad air ball and it came at a bad time. I was like, oh my gosh. And then the rebound with Carmack Ryan, it just tainted his whole performance. I couldn't remember the good stuff he did because we needed that rebound so bad. I think we were only down 2 at that point. Like we would have had the ball down 2 with like 40 seconds left.
We had so many chances. I mean, that's why I couldn't get on last night. It was just every time we would get close, there were 2 or 3 plays that were there to be made, and we just didn't make them. I mean,
as a staff, don't you go back and like, okay, part of that is on us. I'll never forget this, and I'll try to keep these stories to a minimum because I know at the end of the day nobody cares. But we played at Miami of Ohio when they had Wally Zerbiak, and they made that Elite 8 run, I believe, that year. They had a really good team, and I mean we mud stomped them in Bowling Green when I was there. I played my first 2 years at Bowling Green, my last 2 at Appalachian State, and my first 2 under Dan Dockage. We beat them by 30 some on senior night. But we played at their place, and they had, obviously Wally was an All-American, and they were pubbed. We lost a very close game, and we come into the locker room, and Dan Dockage is notorious for, he's a tough guy to play for. But at that point in time, he was winning games, and so he was doing well, and he comes from the Bobby Knight coaching tree. And I'll never forget, I was petrified when we lost. Like, oh, man, what's going to happen to us? And he took it on the chin. He said, hey, look, that's on us as a staff. You guys did everything we asked you to. We're going to go back and then, we're going to dissect the tape, but we're going to fix certain things that we could have done better to put you in a position to win. If you're Hubert Davis and the staff, because like you said, there was so many chances to like get over that hump. And I felt like we shot ourselves in the foot. As a staff, do you go back and you change all right, we're going to pay a little bit more attention to this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of those were kind of fluky.
I mean, running out of bounds twice. Like, again, I know that sounds crazy. Like, oh, you're picking out you're cherry picking a play that happened in the first half. The game came down to 1 possession.
Right. I mean,
those possessions matter.
Harrison Ingram, he had 2 at the rim. He converts probably both of those vast majority of the time. And so one slipped out of his hands. The other, I think, was just probably a pretty good block.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what you do as a staff. Hopefully hopefully they're spending some time really thinking, though, I think, about defense and
again,
where this team can
the missed
change some
rebound
stuff up.
on a missed free throw at the end of the game. Like you have to have that rebound. Like there's no excuse for that. You have to have that rebound.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, offensively, we're top 10 going in this game. I think we were 7th in the country in offensive efficiency.
We were.
We got plenty of good looks in this game. We scored, I think, enough points to win it despite, 17 turnovers.
Yeah.
So, I feel good about where this team is offensively, even better if Cadeau's on the floor for more than 18 minutes. So,
yeah.
Offensively, we can do what we need to do, I think, to be a championship caliber team, at least in the ACC. But defensively, we're going to have to figure some stuff out. We've got to get better. So I hope that's where the staff is spending time. And I hope, against OU, it looks like we make them more uncomfortable than what we've made some teams in the last few games.
All right, give me the keys to the game, the Oklahoma game, because I haven't scouted Oklahoma. I know that they just routed Green Bay, but I know that they're 11th in the country, and their overall record now sits at 10-0. They're undefeated. Keys to the game, if you had to just focus on us, these are the things that we got to get done to be the best version of Carolina basketball in this game. You take the scouting report out of it because I just haven't scouted Oklahoma. I wouldn't be able to tell you. What do you think we have? The 3 major keys that we need to win this game, what do you think they're going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've got to shoot the ball well from 3. So that's probably 35 to 40%.
I have 38% in my notes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at rebounding just because what happened in the last game. I have not watched Oklahoma, so I don't have a scout on them, but I'd say at least neutral. And then I think we've got to outscore them at the free throw line. Usually when we win, we're sort of a plus 5 to 10 at the free throw line. We were I think +2 against Kentucky. So it was pretty even. And we almost always win the free throw line game when we're going well. But the biggest thing for me is defense. We've got to make them uncomfortable.
All right, good. I had 38% from 3. I had 14 or less turnovers. Like 14 is still a lot.
Yeah.
So like I don't think that you're asking too much of a team of like, hey, look, we're going to keep it under 14. And then I had it has to be worst case scenario even on the boards. Like
agree with all that. Yeah.
Those were my 3 keys to victory when it comes to the OU game. So this was our first episode. Hopefully it wasn't too painful for you. And anyone that's watching this, if you love Carolina basketball, we love you, but hopefully you're not too annoyed by 2 guys that just love the team and want to chop it up and kind of rant a little bit and make sure that it doesn't bleed into the rest of their lives. You know what I mean?
Thanks for having me.
So are you going to come back? Can I get you again for the Oklahoma recap?
Hey, whenever you want me.
Man, we got to figure out, and again, I'll get this posted. I'm going to start pubbing it. I don't know if you've seen the artwork, and I'll send it over. Your name's not on the artwork. I apologize. I didn't know that you were going to be joining me, but I would love to, figure some things out. If things go well, maybe we can switch that up. And
I'll have to earn my way on there. I got some work to do.
Yeah, well, I do as well. But getting this thing off the ground and like finding kind of our mojo, I think will be fun. And I love it. This team, like it would be very challenging to do this show last season.
Oh yeah, I would have bailed on you.
All right. I'm going to figure out with the holidays, anyone that's watching this and wants to catch up or support or see season 2 or episode 2. It is, we're traveling for Christmas. Hopefully I'll get to see you for Christmas, brother. And we can talk about it. Maybe we'll do one in person. Who knows? But we're going to get this Oklahoma thing going and hopefully the game's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday. And we'll be back with a recap. Now it might be a few days after the holiday. We'll see, but we're going to be doing these hopefully after every game, and go Heels, baby.
Go Heels.